There we go. So good to be on with you all tonight. You should be able to hear me now. Really excited about tonight. And yeah, this is going to be good. Just give me 1 second here. Let me copy and paste something. The announcements. It's been a very long day and week. My children are back in school. And their schedule is scheduling. But grateful to be here tonight. Took care of that. That's good and loud. Right. No, that is November 15th, I believe. Do me a favor. City, state, where are you from? Thank you so much. Hey, Tammany. Good to see you. City, state, if you're from America, or country if you're not from America. Let me know where you're tuning in from. Thank you. Dallas. Hope to see you at the Dallas stop. All eyes on B. Definitely. I hope to see you there. Near Baton Rouge. Appreciate you. Connecticut. I'm not tired. Not at all. I'm not. It's just been a long day. It's just been a long day. You guys will see my energy is going to jump through the roof in just a few. It doesn't take long. Barbados. Thank you so much, Columbus. I appreciate you, Kim, and thank you so much for the very kind gifts. Very nice of you. Lima, Ohio. Appreciate that. The Philippines. Good morning. She said good morning from the Philippines. Appreciate you. Durham, Baltimore, New York City, Indianapolis, Schererville, Indiana. I hope I said that right. Philadelphia, Tupelo, Mississippi, Duncanville, Illinois, or Texas, rather. Oh, Neil, what's up, man? From Atlanta, I appreciate you. Thank you, Miss Kim. No, you're the sweetest. I appreciate that. Pasadena, California, I appreciate that. That Gemini girl, even though Geminis make me real nervous. I'm not gonna get on my soapbox tonight. Lord Jesus, you Geminis or something else. Nola, thank you so much, Miss Betsy. I hope you got a message from me and some folks. I should be reaching out real soon. Brother Rodney, what's up, man? Good to see you. Pastor, I hope you're doing well, man. I mean that sincerely. Moss Point, Mississippi. Yeah, Gemini's or something else. Y'all are, ooh, I got trauma. I got Gemini trauma. Now let me stop. Uh, the Bahamas, thank you so much. Yeah, it ain't gonna take me long to warm up, y'all. Doc is fine. Energy is good. He's just needs a minute to just get his brain here. I appreciate all of you. Taurus. Oh, you said Taurus. Y'all are crazy too. Yeah, y'all Taurus folks are a little different too. Memphis. I appreciate you. Hey, when you let me know where you're from, do me a favor, like the video and share the video. Would you do that for me? All right, would you do that? Like the video and share the video. I really would appreciate it. Hey, Idaho, Miss Tiffany, good to see you on here. So good to be with you recently. Jackson, Mississippi, Harlem, New York. I appreciate all of you. Thank you so much. Y'all are so sweet. Yeah, I appreciate you too. I mean that sincerely. Kim says cancers. Here we go. About to get into this competition. Not too much on us Taurus. I'm just saying, Geminis and Taurus folks are just something else. They don't call y'all bulls for nothing. Let me stop. Huntersville, hey B, good to see you as always. Yeah, this is not tired at all. I just need a second to just kind of get my blood flowing. Really good, solid talk tonight. Shout out to all of the subscribers that are tuned in. Really appreciate your support. Subscriber Nation and Eagle Nation is really growing. So if you have not subscribed on IG or Patreon, make sure you do that right away. Those channels are really growing like crazy, and really have been enjoying working with them this summer. We did an incredible series on healing your attachment style, and part of tonight is going to come from some of one of those talks. I'm going to expound on it a little bit more. but I did a 7 or 8 part series there. And so definitely check that out if you're not subscribed. Would love to see you there. Oklahoma City, Colorado, McHenry, Illinois. Thank you so much. Greensboro, Alteric, good to see you, man. So good to meet you in Charlotte. Really appreciate you. All right, I think we're starting to simmer down a little bit. If you have already shouted out where you're from, I just need you to do one more thing. Hit that share button. Would you do that for me? Hit the like button, hit the share button, and let me know you're tuned in. Yes, Aubrey, I appreciate you. I have not forgotten about the mentorship. Looking into something perhaps for 2026. And Yes, have not forgotten you, dear. I appreciate you. Chester, Virginia, Atlanta, Jacksonville. Hey, Southern Sweet Tea. Always good to see you every week. Winterville, appreciate you. Louisville, Kentucky. April, hey, how are you? Flint, Michigan. All right, this is good. Good turnout tonight. Winterville, and it's going to get better as we get started. I'm excited to be here tonight, and we got a lot of ground to cover tonight. This is going to be a solid session. So if you don't have your journal, go ahead and grab that now while I mention a couple of things, because tonight's going to be solid. Let me say also thank you to those of you that attended the tour stop in Charlotte, North Carolina. Outstanding tour stop there. Tiffany Watson and the team of volunteers did a wonderful job of pulling that stop off, and really received so much feedback from people directly there. And I've received a lot of feedback since I've been back, and since the weekend has been over, rather. And I really appreciate your support. That was a sold out event, and was a really good time, really good conversation, and so good to meet so many of you from so many different places, literally all over the country. We had people flying as far as Vegas to be a part of that stop, and so really just appreciate your support. It was a really good time, and I'm really grateful for all of you in Charlotte. Can't wait to come back, and we're going to make that happen. Hey, April, good to see you. Yeah, DC, Mashawn, so many of you just came from everywhere. And so looking forward to next time there. So shout out to Charlotte for an incredible stop there. Let me also say, make sure you subscribe to my YouTube channel if you have not already. I switched it up this week. I did not put a long form video on Facebook or IG or TikTok. Typically, I do 2 a week. So I didn't do a long form on Tuesday or Thursday. I did a long form on Wednesday, posted it on YouTube, and gave you a 3-minute snippet on Wednesday. And I'm trying this format out for a little while. I actually enjoyed it. It actually saved me a little bit of time. What's wrong? Okay, love you too. Uh-uh. You guys need to hurry up. It actually saved me a little bit of time, not having to do as many in terms of content. Little different format, gotta kind of get used to it, but I'm going to try it for a little while. You cannot be afraid to pivot in your work. I'm not throwing away the client stories. That is my bread and butter and what I do. But I don't mind mixing it up a little bit more as well. And so I hope you've enjoyed that format. And you can do me a favor, subscribe on YouTube if you haven't already. I've got a feeling that eventually I may start to transition a lot of my lives and most of my things to YouTube anyway. So if you have not subscribed on YouTube yet, just go to the YouTube search bar and type in Zeb Tally Third, and I'll pop up and you can follow me and subscribe that way. All right, so I really appreciate your support in a big way. This Saturday, let me mention some things really quickly, all right? Because we got quite a few things going on. So let me mention a couple of things really quickly. This Saturday, I am doing part 2 of Should I Stay or Should I Go? And it's not really part 2, it's just another section of that course. Because when I did the first one, it was a nice turnout, nearly 50 people, and a lot of people couldn't make it and asked for a replay. And so I'm doing that, and that's going to be this Saturday at 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So the link is in my bio for Should I Stay or Should I Go? And highly want to encourage those of you that are in situations where you need to make decisions about your life and what you're going to do next, particularly as it relates to the relationships and the connections that you are in. I think you're going to find this group work to be very, very, very impactful. All right. It's called Should I Stay or Should I Go? And I want to encourage you to be a part of um, that opportunity. It is going to take place again this Saturday at 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And so if you have not signed up for that course, I want to highly encourage you to do that right away. I'm trying to find the flyer. I don't know where the newest flyer is. There's no telling. I got so many flyers and so many things going on. But I want to encourage you to do that right away and RSVP for that seat. It's going to be a very small class, intimate class. And so I think that's great. And if you want to be a part of that, to help you with your decision-making process when it comes to the relationships you're going to choose, you may find this to be very, very helpful. All right. So the link's in my bio. Sign up for that. And I really would appreciate that in a special way. I'll go more announcements later. A lot of things to talk about in terms of my work and content. Some of you have reached out to me about the 3-hour intensive. Let me just give a point of clarity that these 3-hour intensives, there are not a lot of these dates available. If you sign up for a 3-hour intensive with you and your partner, it'll only be you two. This is not a group work session. So this is just for you and your partner that sign up, and this is 3 hours with me. And in most sessions, if people come to the table honest and aware, you can get a lot accomplished in 3 straight hours with me. That's an eternity. And so there are a handful of those available. Check out the links in the bio if you want to sign up for one of them. And I think you can go from there. I will give more announcements in a little while. I'm going to get right into tonight's lesson. Let's get right into tonight's lesson. Do me a favor, like the video, share the video if you haven't already. And let's talk about just setting the tone for the room. This is Inspire Nation. So eagles fly high above birds. Don't y'all entertain crazy people in the comments tonight. A lot of people that got their panties in a bunch about a lot of things I posted this week. And I continue to tell you all the stuff that I say don't compare to the stuff that I think about saying. Oh my God. Most of the time I had to reel myself in just for the sake of some of y'all feelings, because we just don't have a healthy relationship with the truth and honesty. And so tonight is going to be another one of those nights where we're going to really dive into some things from a self-awareness standpoint that is going to help you. And so I am excited about tonight. Make sure you grab your journal, but please don't entertain the birds in the comment section. If you see anything in the comment section that shouldn't be, any inappropriate comments or people talking crazy, all you got to do is just drop an eagle in the chat area. And our awesome moderators will see those birds and shoot those birds out of the air and keep on going about their business. All right. And so don't entertain the comment chat area. Just don't go back and forth with people beneath you. And that's important. Well, Doc, you shouldn't say that you're better than people. I am better than a lot of people. Oh my God. And if you're on this healing journey, you ought to feel the same way. That's the problem. In this equality, we all the same culture that we live in, where everybody not doing the same work, but everybody's the same, is bull crap. That's exactly what it is. If we not doing the same work, then we not on the same level. And I don't really care who you are. And so do this work. And when you do this work, you recognize that you are better than a lot of people because you're doing the work to show so. It's just that simple. So don't get caught up in that stuff, y'all. And don't even go back and forth in the chat area. You know, I had to apologize to a mentor because I responded to a comment on Facebook about a week or so ago. I can't remember. It was just one of the most ignorant things that I've seen. It wasn't a direct attack on me per se, but it just was a reminder, man. It's real shallow when you sitting in seat 32C. Oh my God. I mean, for the life of me, I can't eat them cold peanuts. I just can't do it. Figuratively, what I'm speaking of, if you guys don't understand what I'm getting at, is I just can't entertain things that's beneath me. And I would highly recommend many of you grow to that place as well. Okay? So there's levels to this work. And let's not get engaged there and let our moderators do what they do. And we will go from there. All right, grab your journal. Let's get to it. Type in the chat area tonight's topic: correction wounds and your attachment style. The correction wound and your attachment style. That's what we're talking about tonight. And this is going to be fun. This is going to be fun because this is going to be powerful. The correction wound and your attachment style. So what we're talking about. Put the topic in the comments. Grab your journal. You might want to put a headphone in if your kids are still up. They're not in school, whatever. Because we want to talk about a couple of things tonight, and we're going to deal with some things. But this is important. All right? First thing that I want you to write down is this: correction, when it is done well, is a form of guidance. This is going to be fun. See how my voice is perking up? I'm going to be fine. Correction, when it is done well, is a form of guidance. When it's done well, is a form of guidance. Right? Correction, when it is done well, is a form of guidance. Oh, I forgot to mention, y'all, support the show. How could I forget? Support the show. Y'all know the drill. You supported the show pretty good last week. Support the show. Your support goes to buying me lunch. I might get a salad with your support tonight. And it allows me to post these lives up so people that cannot catch them can catch the replays. And those of you that do watch can watch the replay. But if you do not support the show, I will just send it to my subscribers. That's just what it is. So support the show. You got to participate in your own rescue. Y'all stop being freeloaders. Doc, you doing that because you need the money? No, I don't. I'm doing it so y'all can stop being freeloaders. Oh my God. Okay, let's get out this hookup culture. All right, so support the show. Now, the correction wound and your attachment style is what we're going to talk about. When correction is done well, it is a form of guidance. It can steer you in a direction that you need to go. Let me just lay a foundation tonight. By the time I start talking good, y'all going to be blown away. It can steer you in the direction of where you need to go when correction is established properly in your life. What's the most important time frame? The most important time frame is from the ages of 3 to 8. I want you just in the corner of your journal to write ages 3 to 8 and just circle it. Why? Because the form of correction you receive from approximately the ages 2 to 3 to the ages 7 to 8-ish is fundamental in establishing a foundation for how you process, or not only how you come into your attachment style, but how you process things like correction into the future. If you're a subscriber, I went through about 7 or 8 wounds that will help you heal your overall attachment style. So when I write this book on attachment style, and it's really going to be about healing your attachment style, I'm not going to do an education on attachment styles. There'll be a little section in there that talks about them. I'm going to talk about how to heal them. When I write this book, I'm going to walk through those attachment style wounds, or those wounds that can heal your attachment style, and correction is one of them. Why? Because many of us from the age of 3 to 8 was not in a space where, hold on, y'all, I just got flagged on TikTok. I just got flagged on TikTok. I don't know what that means. Anyway, many of you don't realize that unhealthy connections to proper correction as a child, yeah, already, as a child, has severe implications for you as adults. Now, healthy correction can be a form of guidance. Watch this. But unhealthy connection can be misinterpreted as things like rejection, shame, and inadequacy.
rejection, shame, and inadequacy. It can be other things. Let's just deal with this on a very micro level tonight. If guidance is not given well, if correction is not given well, it can create what's called a correction wound, because that wound manifests itself as things like rejection, shame, inadequacy. And I want to put this real simply. When correction in your life was things like harsh, when correction was unpredictable, when correction was inconsistent, y'all should be supporting this show. This is going to be a killer. This might be live of the year. When correction was harsh, when correction was things like inconsistent, when correction was things like withheld, didn't even happen at all, when correction was unpredictable, that distorted your relationship with guidance. And I want to be specific about guidance here, because there is a dotted line connection between proper correction and guidance. That when proper correction was extended to you as a child or growing up or later in your life, that proper guidance by default helps you to embrace guidance and correction, and two other things I want to talk about. Let me give you those two things. If correction is harsh, unpredictable, or withheld, it can distort your relationship with guidance. And not only distort your relationship with guidance, it will cause you to struggle with two things. You ready? First thing, feedback. Oh my God. Uh-oh. Here comes the bloodbath. Feedback. Would y'all believe me if I told you that many of you are struggling in your relationships now? Romantically, friendship, family relationships, work relationships, friend relationships. What? Many of you are struggling in your relationships right now, not because you bad people, but because you never received a proper dose of healthy correction in the form of guidance as a child. That as an adult, even if you have somebody in your life who means well, who attempts to give you guidance and correct you and instruct you, you run from things like feedback. Oh my God. You fight things like feedback. I've had to tell quite a few clients over the last 2 or 3 weeks. I don't know what's going on, what's in the air, but I've had to tell quite a few clients over the last 2 to 3 weeks. Even in this counseling, therapy, coaching space, some of y'all need to stick with these counselors, therapists, and coaches that ain't going to give you hard feedback unless you want to address your correction wound. I've said this a million times and I'm going to say it again. If you're in therapy and you've been in therapy for 10 years working on the same problem, something wrong. I don't care who you are. I don't care who you are. I don't care who you've been talking to. Oh my God. And here's the truth. A lot of these therapists, counselors, and coaches go light on you because most of you have correction wounds and you can't take the harsh truth. Even if that truth is packaged in nice words. Even if that truth is packaged in a soft tone. You miss the message because your correction wound is flaming. And many of you have correction wounds, which is why you struggle in things like direct counseling and therapy and coach. You struggle in relationships with people who want to give you feedback. You don't want to receive feedback. You just want to give the feedback. And many of you grew up so wounded from a correction standpoint that all you got was corrected. And maybe you were corrected so harshly that when you became an adult, you couldn't take being corrected by nobody else. Oh my God. And I'm telling you now, if you don't heal your correction wound, whether you're anxious or avoidant, we're going to get to that in a second. Whether you are anxious or avoidant, if you don't heal your correction wound, ain't no need of you praying for a secure mate. Because let me tell you what a secure mate ain't going to do. A secure mate will not hold back feedback to spare your feelings. Oh my God. As a secure man, let me just go on and put it out there. If I have to restrain myself from offering feedback in a relationship that I'm in to spare your feelings, we ain't compatible. Oh my God. Go let somebody else do it. And this is how I know many of you don't want the secure mate you think you do. Thank you, Peaches. I appreciate your support. First one supporting tonight. Y'all better get this support up. My subscribers are chomping at the bits for this one, like alligators in a swamp. This is how I know many of you don't want the secure partner you got. Because when you ask a secure partner for feedback, they have no problem giving it to you. Now, here's the caveat. You can't claim to be secure, and you can't take feedback either. Oh my God. Because a lot of y'all are claiming you secure because you're great at giving feedback until the feedback comes back at you, and now you got a problem. Mm-mm. 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 You ain't as secure as you think you are. I got a video coming out about this next week. And no, it's going to probably be week after next. Now I'm going to this different format. Probably week after next. You are not, well, I told a client who's going to let me share that she ain't as secure as she thinks she is. And some of y'all ain't secure as you think you are. Because it's one thing to give feedback. It's another thing to be able to receive it as well. So when correction is harsh, unpredictable, withheld, inconsistent, it can distort our relationship with two things. One, feedback. Number two, accountability. 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 And this is why, especially in the context of attachment styles, where we specifically tend to deal with things like relationship dynamics, this is why those of you that are parents right now, the best thing you can do is raise your children with accountability and responsibility. You know, I had some idiot in one of my comments saying that my children were weak because they, what was it? They were so wise that you couldn't be wise and strong at the same time. I really don't know where some of you folks were found. That was the comment I think I responded to. That kids who are wise are going to automatically be weak because you can't be wise and strong. Parents, let me help you. If you are parenting a child, if you big auntie or big uncle, let me give you some advice. You better teach your child how to have accountability and responsibility. The best gift you can give them is to learn how to hold them accountable. And we don't do this. And so what happens? Then you get grown, you get cute, fellas, you get handsome, you get these things, you get out here in the dating scene. And the minute somebody has to correct you or address something with you that is not right or correct or inappropriate, you completely fold. Why? Because the inappropriate or incorrect or inadequate guidance you received as a child has wounded you so that now you have a problem with feedback and accountability. And I'm going to tell you this. If y'all don't believe it, if you're on this live tonight or watching the replay, if it happens to stay up, because at this rate it ain't. If you're listening live tonight, listen to me. If you struggle with feedback and accountability, I want you to write this down. I can almost guarantee you that we can trace it back to you receiving guidance or correction that was harsh, unpredictable, inconsiderate, or maybe didn't even exist at all. See, this is the crazy part, right? In this space, I have to tell clients, I've had to remind a few clients over the last couple of weeks because they're not used to this kind of pressure. So I told them, look, I'm not for everybody. There's a whole lot of counselors and therapists out here that's dying to get clients. Go find somebody that'll let you sit in your chair and talk all day and not be held accountable. This, not that. My daddy was my 7th and 8th grade coach, 9th through 12th grade coach, assistant principal, teacher, all of that stuff. He played no games. We had a healthy relationship with correction. It wasn't harsh. It was consistent. You knew it was coming. It was also grounded in love. You know what that taught me? The art of telling people the truth in love. Because here's the thing. You can correct anybody, especially if you're in a position to help. You can correct anybody and help anybody. For the most part, if it comes from a place of love, unless their correction wound is so glaring, unless they are so wounded from a feedback and accountability standpoint, that as nice as you put it, they still won't get it. And that happens to me in the seat. I'll be honest with y'all. I have run across people in this seat. It don't matter how nice you put it, how direct you do it, how calm your voice is. Some people are so wounded from a correction standpoint, from a feedback and accountability standpoint, they've never been held accountable a day in their lives, that you could say it nice and whisper it. It ain't gonna matter. And I want you to put this in the chat and put this in your journal right now. Until you heal your correction wound, you're not ready to heal in general. A correction wound is one of the few wounds that you must heal in order to be healed. If you don't heal the correction wound, you will never heal. I don't care who you are. If you don't heal your relationship with feedback and accountability, you will never heal. Doc, you can't say never. Never. You will never heal. Doc, never's a long time. It is. And I hate to break the news to many of you, but some of you are struggling on your healing journey because you have a sincerely bad correction wound. Thank y'all for the support. It's coming through. Y'all support the show. You're going to want this one. You will want this one again. You're going to want this one again, and I'm just getting started. We're going to talk about how to heal it, but let me lay the foundation. That's the problem. Let me just say this, y'all, and I'm not being funny. I'm really not. I'm not being funny. I talk about this on my video next week. Some of y'all, that's the other thing. Some of y'all are so interested in tools. All you want is a tool from a therapist, a counselor. All you want is a tool so that you can try to work on that tool to try to feel better. Let me tell you something. You can get all the tools you want in the world until you break up the foundation. You ain't doing nothing but building on stuff that's got cracks in it. And I'm going to tell you why some of you are in a hurry to get tools. Some of you are in a hurry to get tools because you don't want to tear up the foundation. You don't want to go through the pain of deconstructing your life. You don't want to go through the pain of deconstructing your values. You don't want to go through the pain of deconstructing everything that has been built crooked in your life so it can be built straight so that when you get these tools, you can build on a solid foundation. No, y'all want to skip by that. That's akin to skipping across the grass instead of walking on the sidewalk. Oh my God. I see it every day. It's like pouring it. This kind of talk is like pouring water on gremlins. I just look at the comments sometimes, and you can tell people that are very uncomfortable with this. Well, then, Doc, how do I fix it? Doc, can you stop talking about that and just give me some solution? No. No, because you still got cracks in your foundation. Oh my God. Sometimes the foundation has to be broken down completely so it can be built up. Y'all stop trying to build over cracked foundations and heal your relationship with feedback and accountability. Now, how do we see this manifested? let me give you some hints. If you, as a child, or as a young person, or a young adult, have ever internalized correction as things like I'm bad instead of I made a mistake. Y'all writing this down? Write this down. If you've ever internalized correction as things like I'm bad instead of I made a mistake, or I was so stupid instead of I didn't know any better and I had to learn. If you've ever had to internalize correction that way, it's a really good chance that as a child, as a young person, maybe even as a young adult, you have improperly internalized correction. You have improperly received correction. And you want to know how this materializes? You know how correction wound shows up in your life? Through your attachment style. Let me give you some hints. If you're anxious and you have a correction wound, let me give you a list of things you might do. Go ahead and make your list. Just write anxious in the top of your page, put a colon there, put a line under it, and I want you to write a couple of things. Let me give you some stuff. If you're anxious and you got a correction wound, you may not even know it. But let me give you some signs that you do. Number one, anxious people within a correction wound over apologize. Oh my God. Anxious people with a correction wound will apologize over and over and over again. Why? Because when you're anxious, you don't like to feel like somebody might be upset with you. You don't like to feel like somebody is going to be mad at you. Watch this. You don't like the tension of offense. Oh my God. Anxious people don't like the tension of offense. They would rather over apologize than to just feel the discomfort of offense. That in fact, when you have offended somebody or somebody has offended you, there is a period of discomfort you got to sit through. And anxious people don't like to sit with it. Anxious people don't like to sit with the fence. They don't like to sit with the discomfort of offense. So they will try to rectify that discomfort by over apologizing. They will apologize 7, 8, 9 times for an offense that has long happened. And when you do that to a secure person will listen to you once, they might listen twice. By the third time, they're going to say, please cut it out. You know why? Because anxious people over apologize, not only to minimize the discomfort of the offense, they do it as a sense of false humility. It makes them feel like they are being the bigger person. It makes them feel like they are doing the right thing. It makes them feel like they are going above and beyond to make a situation feel better. When in actuality, the reverse is happening. That when you apologize 7 times for an offense when they heard you the first time, it starts to feel like something that you're doing to make you feel better instead of making them feel better. Oh my God. Ain't a lot of notes tonight. Y'all must be writing. Y'all there? If you there, I want you to type levels in the chat. This making sense? False humility. I told the subscribers about a story. I had a boss who really was a game changer in my life and my career. When I was going through a period of my life where I was anxious, I would apologize for things 3, 4 times. And she finally was just like, after that second, Zeb, stop. Stop. Why? Why? I mean, I just want to make sure people know I'm upset. So we heard you the first time, is what she would say. We heard you the first time. And at this point, it sounds like a fake attempt at humility. She was right. And that fake sense or attempt at humility is really the reflection of you trying to make you feel better, not them. Because the people you'd apologize to, especially if they're secure, they heard you the first time, they moved on. But when you're anxious, you will continue to apologize to them, trying to get rid of the anxiety inside of you. And it doesn't work that way. It makes it worse. And it annoys them. Over apologizing annoys the securely offended. And it makes you more anxious. Y'all not writing this down. Oh my God. Over apologizing annoys the secure and makes your anxiety worse. Over apologizing ignores the secure or annoys the secure, makes your anxiety worse. Oh, and ain't a lot of levels tonight. Y'all either really just not tuned in or y'all really writing. Ain't a lot of levels tonight. Are y'all writing? Put a 1 in the chat if you write. I just need to make sure y'all alive. Decent numbers. We got to get more on TikTok. I'm kind of banned over there. I don't know why. I ain't do nothing tonight. Y'all here? Put a 1 in the chat. You there? Yeah, y'all must be writing tonight. So that'll give you time to sit. I just need to know you're there. That's what happens when you're anxious. You know what? The only people that like your over apologizing are broken avoidants. Uh-oh. Oh my God. I'm going to get to that in a second. A broken avoidant will listen to that. Because in a weird, creepy way, an avoidant gets their rocks off by hearing you say sorry, sorry, sorry over again. And God knows, don't let that person be an avoidant and have a stench of narcissism in them. Y'all know I don't like labels a whole lot because most of y'all don't even know what they are and can't define it. But if you got a legit narcissist on your hand that's avoidant, they'll listen to you apologize all day and get their rocks off while you do it. Oh my God. I have to say that for the subscriber space because most of that will go over y'all's heads. An avoidant loves apologies because it makes them feel like you're chasing them. And the more you apologize, at first they think it's real cute, and then they'll run as you apologize. But they're going to keep looking back to make sure you keep apologizing and let you know that they're still there. Oh my God. So, anxious people, as a result of this poor connection to correction, will over apologize. 2, people pleasers. Y'all should have known this was coming. Show me an anxiously attached person with a correction wound, and I'll show you a people pleaser. Which means if you're a people pleaser, somewhere along the lines, you might have a problem with correction. Because sometimes the anxious will attempt to people please and bend over backwards to people please to avoid being held accountable, to avoid being given feedback, to avoid having to hear the harsh truth, to avoid being told the truth. A broken, anxious person will apologize and try to get under your skin and be in your skin. I've even seen cases where anxious people with correction wounds are also very clingy. I don't have time to deal with this, but let me just say this because y'all not ready for what I'm about to say. Hear me out. Anxious people can also be very clingy if they have a correction wound. And so sometimes the clinginess is a sign of a correction wound. Not all the time, but sometimes. Why? Because when things get tough between that person and whomever they're connected to, they will use being clingy as a way to run away from the stress and the angst of things like offense and pain. heartbreak. This is why an anxious person, if they feel like someone's going to leave them, instead of feeling the pain of being left, they will cling harder. And that clinginess is connected to, in many ways, the fear of feedback. I don't want to be with you. I don't want to do this again. I don't want to be in this anymore. You no longer, this no longer benefit. They don't want to hear that. So to avoid that, they will grab you tighter and squeeze you tighter. Why? Because in their little minds, they believe that if they cling more, they might be able to get out of hearing that feedback. You're just delaying it. Oh my God. This making sense? Let me give you a third sign that you might have a correction on. Sign one, and there are many signs. This is obviously an overview. There are many signs. Sign one, over apologizing. Sign two, people pleasing. Sign three, this is going to shock you. You ready? Poor emotional control. Poor emotional control. Watch this. One sign that you could not only be anxious, but you could be anxious with a correction wound is when you try to cry your way out of stuff. Oh my God. When you try to cry your way out of stuff. Thank you, Brother Cam. Always good to see fellas support. I appreciate that, brother. Had a lot of men in Charlotte, by the way. I think I have to do this dating thing real soon, hook some of y'all up. A lot of men in Charlotte. Some of men was there. Some of you women had lines of men. It was a lot of men in Charlotte. I got to figure out this speed dating event thing for heal people. I don't know how I'm gonna do it. Listen, some of you, we know you're anxious because of your poor emotional control. You ever been around a person who tries to cry themselves out of everything? You correct them, and then all of a sudden they just burst out into tears. Let me tell you something. A lot of times that crying, is to avoid the pain of correction. It's to avoid the pain of feedback. Now listen, there ain't nothing wrong with expressing emotion. Don't y'all take this sound bite and run with it. Get the context. There's nothing wrong with expressing emotion, but let me tell you something. When you express emotion to avoid correction, you dysfunctional. Oh God, that was a bar. Record that now. That was salad worthy. When you express emotion to avoid correction, that's dysfunction. Expressing emotion to avoid correction is dysfunction. It's the bar of the night. Expressing emotion to avoid correction is dysfunction. Some of y'all got to stop trying to cry your way out of stuff. Now, good question on TikTok. Instagram. I won't call your handle. I'll just read the question. Is this applicable for children because my 10-year-old does this so bad? Oh my God, this is a good question. This is why the future of my work is with kids. I hate to break this to y'all, but in a couple of years, I'm going to be transitioning. The future of my work is to teach this to kids. I'm going to tell you why. Because when you correct the kids' emotions or a child's emotions and teach them emotional control, you change the generation. That's a great question. It can be true for children if proper forms of guidance have not been established with them, which means, y'all, the best way to get your child out of that is to raise them with balance. This is where I'm about to get in trouble. I'm so glad that question came. No, thank you for asking. Raise your kids with balance. You know what creates children like that? Who just cry at the drop of a hat or cry at the attempt to avoid correction? is when you've either raised them too light or you've raised them too hard. Oh my God. When you've raised them too light or raised them too hard, it can cause them to divert to poor emotional control, in many ways intentionally, to avoid the pain of feedback. And this is why, when I've had to correct mine, because my kids are good kids, I've seen this. I can even take your question and expand it this way. Because there's a fine line here between, watch this, crying because you want to avoid correction and crying as a child out of insensitivity or poor sensitivity. Sometimes this is so good. Sometimes hypersensitivity in a child is a sign of a few things. Number one, it's a sign you might have a good child. Hypersensitivity in a child, not an adult. Well, maybe in an adult too. I gotta process that. Hypersensitivity in a child, especially, is a sign that you might have a good child. And I'll give you an example of this. When you have corrected a child and you correct them in balance, which means you ain't just screaming at them. I'm not talking about that kind of correction that creates hypersensitivity. Remember, this is hypersensitivity in a child through balance correction. Hypersensitivity in a child through balance correction. This ain't in my notes, I'm adding it. Through balance correction is a sign you may have a good child, which means you have corrected your child in a balanced way. You come down on them when you got to. You hug them and hug her and kiss them when you have to. You don't come down so harsh that they feel like they're stupid. God knows you don't call them stupid. Yes, it's 2025, and some of you raggedy parents are calling your kids stupid. And yes, I'm calling you raggedy. And if I knew it, I would call DSS. Oh my God. This thing going. Anybody that calls their kids stupid is a piss poor parent. And I don't care if your mama raised you that way. I don't care if your pastor raised you that way. I don't care who raised you that way. If you call your child names to correct them, you're a piss poor parent. Piss poor. I'm talking call social services. 1-800 child abuse. Because you don't have to do all of that. You can be hard on your parents or on your children and be balanced. But a hypersensitive child that has received correction balanced, which means they've been corrected, and you get tough on them if you have to, and in the same breath still squeeze them and love them and tell them, listen, I love you, I believe in you. If that child is hypersensitive, it's probably a sign that they're a pretty decent child. How? How do you define decent, Doc? In the sense of being aware of right and wrong. Those children will be aware of right and wrong. It won't make them perfect, but they will have a different level of consciousness when they do wrong. Their conscious level will be much higher. Why? Because you've raised them with balance, and their hypersensitivity is proof of their awareness. Their hypersensitivity is proof of their awareness. Is this making sense? So if that's the case, then my friend that asked the question on IG, it may not be necessarily a bad thing. But here's where the balance comes in. And then I'm going to move on from this point. That was a really good question. Let me just finish it though. Here's where it can be a bad thing. If you don't do it with balance and your kid is hypersensitive, they are without a doubt a lot of times trying to do that to get out of the feedback and accountability. Let me give you the greatest example I can give you. I've been in stores where parents have gotten on their kids and the kids just fall out on the floor. Just fall out on the floor and start crying, just pitching a fit. And what does the parent do? The parent loses sight of what the kid did wrong and immediately starts to try to do what? Get them off the floor. So that parent's attention shifts from their behavior to their actions. Why is that important? That's important because it then subconsciously teaches that child that the best way for me to get out of correction is to act up. And so when you let your kids fall out in the floor, and then you shift your focus from their behavior, what they did wrong, to how they're showing off, and you stop addressing what they did wrong, and you focus on how they showed off, you are furthering the correction wound. And if they're anxious, they will use their emotions to avoid feedback. Is this making sense? So kids can be hypersensitive and be good kids. And that hypersensitivity can really only be broken by continuing to raise them with balance and helping them to understand that they can't emotion their way out of everything, and that sometimes correction is going to be hard. Sometimes correction is going to be difficult. What most parents tend to do is get frustrated. They see the tears and they stop the correction. No, let them cry while you correct them. Don't insult them while you correct them. And when you finish, let them know you love. Hey, I still believe in you, but you're wrong. Coach Sean, what's up? So how do you address a child who, when corrected, runs away and shows off and becoming a stormtrooper? You don't let that child just run off or run away or show off or fall out. You have to correct that behavior and address that behavior. And for every behavior that is not appropriate, it has to come a consequence. Let me just say, because I got to get to the avoidance, y'all. I have so many notes here. This could easily be a 2-part talk tonight. Ain't no way I'm going to finish. It's 10:16. But can I say this real quick? I'm glad HS is talking about spanking children, because this is exactly where I was about to go. Let me just say this to y'all. I'm not going to get into the conversation about whether or not you should spank your kids. You have to have a sense of conviction about that. Okay. Spanking is such a deep-rooted topic that is rooted in a lot of things, that considers a lot of things like culture, your history, family history. It can include a lot of different things. But can I say this to y'all? You can take this whatever way you want to. If you're not going to spank your child, fine. That's your choice. I know from personal experience that getting spanked and loved didn't kill me, because I didn't have parents that was throwing mops and irons and braiding switches and hitting me with them. I do know what it's like to be popped, corrected, and then told after I was corrected that I was a great kid and I made a crazy mistake and I did something I had no business, and not to do it again because more was expected of me. That's called balance. So however way y'all gonna do it, do it. But let me tell you something. A child that grows up without having to address their actions with consequences is almost always going to be an anxious or an avoidant adult. They will never grow up. I don't know a single person who is secure, who was not raised to have to deal with consequences to their actions. I want to say this slow. If y'all don't remember nothing I said tonight, because it's directly connected to this connection wall, I don't know a single secure person today who did not grow up and did not have to pay a price of some sort. Maybe you didn't get spanked. Maybe you got grounded. Maybe you got things taken from you, etc. I don't know a single person today who is secure, healthily secure, who did not at some point or shape or fashion have to reap the consequences of their decisions. So for all of you that don't want to spank, hey, fine. But you better come up with a way to give them some consequences. You better come up with a way to give them some consequences. Because the consequences they don't have to experience today will be the price they might end up having to pay tomorrow. I like that Autumn. If they throwing tantrums as a kid, they're gonna throw tantrums as adults in their relationships. This is why some of y'all throwing tantrums. Because your relationship with correction is so wounded. You ain't never had to reap no consequences of your behavior. And so here you are, lady, with a man that has standards, and you think he being harsh. You ain't my daddy. Well, the problem is you ain't had no daddy either. Oh my God. I told a client couple. This one's in the queue too. Yeah, I never give y'all previews of stuff or talk about couples that are not in the preview or in sync for videos to come up. This is for all of y'all that are new. I told a couple and told a lady right in front of her face, right in front of her husband, who looked at her husband and said, "You ain't my daddy." Because he was just trying to prove a point to her that she did not take feedback or accountability. But what she failed to realize is that while he want her daddy, she ain't had no daddy either because he didn't do his job. And guess what? If your daddy would have done his job, then maybe your husband wouldn't have to try to be your daddy. Oh my God. I didn't say zaddy with a Z. I said daddy. And the same thing goes for some of you men with women. She wouldn't have to be your mama if your mama was one, fellas. And if your mama wasn't one, whether she's living or has unfortunately passed away, if your mama wasn't one, fellas, I highly recommend that you heal your correction wound. Because when a man has a correction wound, whether he gets it from a father or a mother, he will be unbearable. A man with a correction wound is unbearable because he can't take feedback, he can't take accountability, and God knows, don't let him get a snip of red pill content. He can't take accountability, he can't take feedback. He got a correction wound. His mom and daddy didn't correct him, and now he want to be the leader. Good luck. That's what some of y'all dealing with right now. Men who have correction wounds, mom and daddy didn't correct them. They got a taste of red pill content, and now they're trying to tell you, I'm the leader. Good luck with that. Good luck. Some of y'all in the middle of that right now. And it's crazy. Then you get on the camera with somebody like me, who's secure, that looks you right in your face and holds you accountable. And then I hear crazy stuff like, this ain't gonna work for me. Of course it ain't gonna work. You ain't never been held accountable. Now I can help you heal your correction wound, but you're gonna have to get some feedback and accountability. So this is why some of you ladies ain't gonna make it with the men you got until they get their correction wound resolved. They will never be able to hear anything you have to say to them as their wife or as their girlfriend. Nothing. They will never be able to hear a single thing you have to say. And here y'all are thinking you can change them. Here y'all are making excuses. He's just a poor communicator. He's just a poor communicator. He just can't express himself. He expressed himself in your pants, didn't he? Oh my God. Was he good enough to express himself into your pants? Was he able to communicate enough to get you undressed? And I let y'all make excuses and I laugh at y'all. Knock yourself out. You're not going to get on my camera and make no excuses. If you communicated enough and well enough to get a number and to get some, your communication ain't that broken. Well, then, Doc, what if I'm an avoidant? How do I know I have a correction wound if I'm an avoidant or my partner is an avoidant? Let's talk about them real quick. Y'all, I might have to do a part 2 of this next week. Y'all good with a part 2 next week? I haven't even gotten through a fourth of my notes. If you go with a part 2 next week, I want you to type levels in the comments really quickly. Quickly. Hurry. Come on. Support the show while you're doing it. Because some people have already messaged me, Doc, please leave this up. Y'all support. Y'all want a part 2 next week? Because I'm not even through a fourth of this tonight. This might be a 3-part series. Let's talk about avoidance. You may be an avoidant and not sure whether or not you have a correction wound. Let me give you some signs. One sign that you might have a correction wound, if you're an avoidant, is if you're always defensive. Are you always defensive? Thank you, Sunkist. Appreciate your support. Why would an avoidant always be defensive? And how is that defensiveness connected to a correction wound? I'll tell you why. Because when a child or a person in general has historically been corrected in a harsh way, much like abusing a dog and abusing a dog over and over and over and over and over again for years, eventually that dog gets his or her back in the corner and they stop whining and whimpering and they start snapping back. For those of you that have pets, I have friends that have pets, they'll tell you this. I've heard this firsthand. I don't have pets. I've heard this firsthand from friends that have pets. They'll tell you. You will know you have spanked a dog too much. Watch. When you hit a dog, they whimper a little bit and then they go sit down. But if you hit a dog and that dog starts barking back, guess what? That dog has a correction wound. Because that bark or that defensiveness is a response to consistent harshness over time. That bark back all of a sudden is a response to consistent harshness over time. Where they're saying, I'm tired of you hitting me. Oh my God. And that's exactly how an avoidant acts. When an avoidant has an unhealthy relationship with guidance via correction, feedback and accountability can cause them to become defensive. Is this making sense? I'll give you another sign. Here you go. This should be an easy one. When an avoidant has a correction wound, here's another sign. They are masters at shutting down. Here we go. Oh my God. Thank you so much for your support, Nina. They are masters at shutting down. And this is what most of you see from your avoidant boyfriends, your avoidant girlfriends, your avoidant husbands, your avoidant wives, your avoidant partners. They shut down. They shut down. When they have a correction wound, they shut down when they're guided, when they're questioned. They fall off the grid. They don't want to talk no more. They change the subject. You might get ghosted. For those of you that like to use terms, this is where things like stonewalled and gaslighting comes into play. When an avoidant has a correction wound, they'll go weeks without talking to you, and y'all live in the same house. Y'all, let me tell you what's on the rise in my work. Can I tell y'all what's on the rise? I don't know if y'all been paying attention to my content. Let me tell you what's on the rise in my work. What is on the rise is avoidance going days and weeks and some even months, not even talking to their partners. And y'all live in the same house. How in the ham sandwich do you stay with a person and y'all can go days and not even speak? I'll wait. And you know what I always hear? We had an argument. He shut down, or she shut down, or God help us all if you got two avoidants. We both shut down, and we ain't talked, Doc, in a week and a half. Really? Yeah. I've had new clients get on the camera and say to me, yeah, I ain't talked to my partner. We ain't talked in 4 or 5 days. Are they traveling? Uh-uh. Did they have surgery? Uh-uh. Did they go to Cancun? Uh-uh. So y'all walk in the house and don't even talk? Y'all don't even talk over a meal? You don't even tell the other person the food is ready? How do they know it's time to eat? They can smell it. They just come in and get a plate. Well, what happens if you come in and get a plate and they in there? They just stand there and wait for me to move out the way. And y'all don't say hello? Y'all don't believe this, do you? Y'all don't believe this happened, but watch this. Many of y'all on this line dealing with this very thing. And I'm telling you, if you have a partner or if you yourself find yourself to the point shutting down where you are able to shut down so easily, where you can go days and weeks without talking to the people you claim to love, baby, you got a correction wound. You are running away from feedback and accountability. You are running away from feedback and accountability. And ain't no way you can tell me that's healthy. And again, I don't want to hear these excuses about communication, nervousness, anxiety. You didn't have none of that when you asked for that number. I just I just sit back and I marvel at the things we make excuses for. That you didn't have none of that stuff when you got with the person you got, male or female. I'm talking to everybody tonight, as I always do. You had none of that. Now that you got it, you got all this anxiety that's keeping you from facing feedback and accountability. All of this avoidance. You're a poor communicator. You struggle with trauma. You didn't have no trauma when you asked for that number. And let me just help some of y'all. Some of you, your therapists and counselors and coaches that you're working with, that you're paying good, hard, earned money to, that you work hard for, they're wasting your money when they allow you to show up in spaces and make those kinds of excuses and they don't check you. If you have a counselor, a therapist, or coach who allows you to do this stuff and they don't check you, they are running you dry. Oh my God. I don't care who they are. It can be your mama. So somebody asked a good question. How do you navigate this if your partner does this? You got to make a choice. Y'all, I got a video coming out next week. My long form video is going to be on YouTube. It'll be a snippet on the other networks. I got a long form video that's coming out next week where I challenged a lady and I told a lady to make a decision whether or not she was going to die in a flood. And it's probably one of the best analogies I've ever given. And I've given some good ones. Let me tell you something. When you are in a space where people don't challenge you to do something different, they're wasting your time. When they don't challenge you to face accountability and feedback and correction, they're wasting your time. Brother Altari, what's up? Appreciate your support, my brother. They're wasting your time. And a lot of you are letting these folks waste your time. And I'm telling y'all to y'all face, stop wasting your money and giving your money away to folks that ain't going to challenge you to face accountability and responsibility. If you got a partner like that to that question, you're going to have to make a decision. Are you going to live the rest of your life like that and drown by the day? Or are you going to look at that relationship and look at your values and make a decision? Well, Doc, this is my high school sweetheart, Doc. Well, Doc, this is the husband I prayed for. Don't y'all get me started on that tonight. This is the husband, this is the wife the Lord gave to me. Really? You sure about that? Because the blessings of the Lord make you rich and add no sorrow. And he ain't the author of confusion either. Yeah, I'm not going to go there tonight. I'm in the mood, but I ain't. So if you got a partner in this space, and God knows, don't let your partner be of some kind of faith. Again, I have clients that are more than just Christian. I service everybody. I've been called to heal the world, not just people y'all like. Oh my God. That's for everybody that get mad at that statement. I don't care. I've been called to heal the world. But let me tell you something. If you got any kind of partner that also claims to have a spiritual foundation, and they act like this and they don't want to address it with accountability and responsibility, if I were you, I would question the entirety of this whole foundation they claim to have. I don't know a single religion that don't support a personal accountability and responsibility. I have clients that are from all types of religious backgrounds. I have nerdy friends like me that are nerds, and we sit in rooms and talk about our crazy differences in beliefs and faith. And I love it. And it's spirited. It ain't mad. We stretch I love it. And I don't know a single one that don't support accountability and responsibility. And you mean tell me you got a partner that's got a spiritual foundation and they act this way and you don't know what to do? Number one, they ain't got no spiritual foundation. Doc, how you know? You ain't got no heaven or hell to put them in. I didn't put them in heaven or hell. I just said they ain't got it. Oh my God. Avoidance, get defensive. One, they shut down when guided or questioned. Two, here's another thing that avoidance do when it comes down to correction that will let you know that they have a correction wound. Avoidance are master deflectors. Oh my God. You want to know if your partner has a correction wound and they might be an avoidant or you aren't sure? Do they deflect? How often do they deflect when it comes down to addressing matters? Are they great at changing the subject? Are they good at only addressing parts of the subject that they want to address? Parts of the story that they want to address? Watch this. Do they hit you with lines like, you can believe what you want to believe? You can believe what you want to believe. Y'all, this book on healing attachment styles, I just when I think now, shameless plug. Shameless plug. Let me throw it up real quick. If you don't make it happen, let it go, get it right away. Um, those those pre-orders started going out this week. Hopefully, many of you will be getting your copy soon. I think it is just as good, if not better, than the 5 Years of Healing. These books are getting better. I love doing this work, but when I write this book on attachment styles and healing them, let me tell you something. I have picked up so much in my work, and it's so many little things I picked up that will help us figure out what our attachment styles are, but also how to heal them. If a person says stuff to you like, you can believe what you want to believe, or they try to make a joke out of everything, or they never really take anything really seriously. Wow, Zeb, I'm Nigerian. Thank you so much. I'm Nigerian, but the description fits most Nigerian men. Wow, and I'm so done with them. Well, look, there's got to be somebody in every culture that gets this right. And I hear you, sister, and I appreciate you and your remark for real. Um, and thank you for your support. But I hear you. I do. Listen, this can happen in any culture, and I'm telling you, stuff like, you can believe what you want to believe. They try to joke about everything. They deflect things. They don't want to address whatever. They give you partial information. These are people that have correction wounds. They struggle with feedback and accountability in a major way. Ukrainian, it's just people. Yeah, I like that. Yeah. Um, my sister says I'm Ukrainian and it's just people. I agree with that. It can be anybody, my friend. And listen, that's not to come down on my friend that made that comment, because I understand that's coming from a place of experience. We can't minimize her experiences there, and I'm not going to do that. But I'm telling y'all, a lot of y'all connected to avoidance. They're poor communicators, and they will avoid accountability and responsibility, especially when it makes them uncomfortable. But they can communicate about everything else. They can ask you if they can go out, have a girls' night, have a night out with the guys, but they can't have a hard conversation. And some of you fools take it. And I'm telling you, they're avoidance, and they will ruin your relationship. Because I'm telling you now, if they can ask you for anything else, they can also address hard things. They can address hard subjects. They can be accountable for hard things. Y'all got to stop making excuses for people. I just don't get it. You know what else that I've discovered that avoidance are? And this one can go for both avoidance and these men were red pill. Oh wow. Well, nobody invites me to the red pill channels, but I'm not gonna get on there and argue with people in seat 32C. If y'all ever see me on a podcast, it's gonna be because I believe in, to some extent, in the vision of the people on that podcast. I'm not about to get on a plane and argue with the people in 32C when I'm sitting in 3A. Ain't nothing back there for me. I don't eat Biscoff cookies. I said that at the tour in Charlotte and people gasped. I don't eat Biscoff cookies. Y'all can sit back there. Ain't nothing wrong with that. Somebody got to sit back there. I've done too much work to sit in the back. And that's in all things. I'm not just talking about a plane. Catch the revelation. And I said that in Charlotte, and you could hear people. Giselle said, "Oh, there was a lady back there that was just kind of looked at you." I said, "She was probably new. She's probably never heard me say this before." I don't sit back there. I don't sit in 32C. I don't eat manwich, and I don't eat spam. So I can't go back there and do all of this. I'm telling you, people can address what they want to. And let me just throw another thing on here about both avoidance and anxious people. Y'all ready? Anxious people and avoidant people will also do something that is really underrated. Anxious people and avoidant people will resort to lying to avoid feedback and accountability. Anxious and avoidant. Anxious people will lie to get out of feedback and accountability. Avoidant people will lie to get away from feedback and account. Yes, y'all will. Just to avoid accountability and responsibility. Why? Because it is the anxiety or the angst connected to correction, connected to feedback, connected to guidance, connected to accountability that your parents, your guardians did or didn't give to you. Either they gave it to you, but they didn't give it to you in a balanced way. They gave it to you in a minimal way, or you didn't get it at all. Or you got it very harsh or not at all. And when these things occur and that correction wound is in place, you'll do anything to get out of it, up to and including lying. Somebody asked me once, and I want to go to the next part of my notes here. I'm going to try to get through at least a few more of these Roman numerals before we call it quits tonight, and we'll do part 2 next week. Somebody asked me recently, Doc, who lies more, anxious people or avoidance? It was a really good question, and my nerd brain just really kind of went off grid for about 40 minutes just thinking about it. Sometimes between calls, I sitting there on my island, and I literally just sit like this and just looking in the at the ceiling, just gazing over nerdy stuff. Something's wrong with me in a good way. Who lies more, anxious people or avoidance? And you're right, April. I said to them, it's probably a tie. It's probably a tie. The manifestation of that behavior of lying, though, is different. That an anxious person might lie to try to get out of the pain of correction or accountability because they don't want to face it. They may have some negative experiences in the past when it came to correction growing up as a child and not being properly corrected. So they'll lie to avoid having to feel that way again. Some people call that justification. You call it what you want to. It's just an explanation based on the research of what an anxiously attached person is. And some avoidance will lie because they just don't want to face it and deal with it. Or perhaps running from it allows them to, no pun intended, avoid all of the negative connotations that they had connected to attachment or connected to correction, connected to feedback, connected to accountability. They'll lie to try to get away from it. The reasons why people do it can be very much dependent on your background, where you come from and how you were raised with this wound. But when it comes to lying, they both equally lie. So then they say, can a secure person lie? A secure person can lie. A secure person shouldn't lie. Because if you are secure, the last thing you should be worried about is somebody feeling some kind of way about the truth. So then they said, well, then, Doc, can we deduce that if a person lies, they can't be secure? I said, that's a pretty strong argument. That's a pretty strong argument. We might be able to make the argument that if you're a liar, you ain't secure by default. Oh my God. And lying has a lot of different manifestations, y'all. It ain't just telling somebody you was at the store, you was really at the hotel. It ain't just telling somebody you didn't do this when you really did it. Stealing is a form of lying. Plagiarizing is a form of lying. One of my mentors called me Monday, said, "Doc, man, I heard you got a packed house. Saw the video." I said, "Yeah." I said, "Yeah, man, some of these folks out here in these social media streets owe you a check." I agree. When you steal and don't give credit, that's lying too. So you could literally be out here teaching this stuff, but if you teach a concept that don't belong to you and you act like it's yours, you ain't secure. I don't care what you teaching. There ain't nothing secure about you. You're either anxious or avoidant. Pick one. I really don't believe you can be secure and be a liar at the same time. Oh my God. See, in the PhD world, I'm talking about a real one, not the ones you get from these universities that ain't real. When you really have a real PhD, you had a real dissertation and a real defense and real research and all this stuff from an accredited institution, and you are a real PhD, failing the test could keep you in grad school. Not knowing all the answers could keep you in grad school. Plagiarizing, get you kicked out immediately. So I'm especially talking to those of you that are on this healing journey. You want to know a sign of healing? Being unapologetically truthful. Unapologetically truthful. Even when telling the truth makes you look crazy. Unapologetically truthful. Because you can't be a liar and be securely attached at the same time. Y'all stop plagiarizing. Y'all stop stealing. Y'all stop leaving out details. Oh, it's quiet now. I'm serious. Had a friend of mine who met someone. She's a beautiful lady. She's a paralegal. Beautiful lady. She met a guy. She's like, "Doc." She calls me Doc Bro. Doc Bro. Oh my God, Doc Bro. I met I met this guy and I really like him. But I'm scared. I said, "What you scared of?" She said, "Because he tell the truth." I said, "What you talking about?" You met somebody that you really like and you scared of him because he tells the truth. I said, "Why are you scared of him for telling the truth?" She said, "Because I asked him point blank, I said, are you seeing anybody?" And he said, "Yeah." I said, "Huh?" He said, "He is seeing somebody?" I said, the guy was like, "No, I'm not seeing somebody like as in I have another girlfriend. I'm seeing somebody or entertaining other women. There are women that are interested that I talk to, that I call, occasionally text, whatever." So she said she was startled. So then she said, "Well, how many is it?" He said, "It's just two. It's two women that have both expressed interest. He's just been getting to know them, but none of them are committed to one another. They haven't been physically involved in anything like that. And they still get approached by guys. I still get approached by women, but all of us are secure." And she said, "Doc, that threw me off." She said, "First of all, is he really secure?" I said, "He could be." You know why? Because security looks like integrity. Oh my God. Security looks like integrity. And you ain't got no integrity when you stealing. Security looks like, look at somebody and say, yeah, I mean, I appreciate the interest. Well, you see anybody? I'm not really, seeing anybody or connect, but I do have people that are interested. That's integrity. And she was like, Doc, bro, man, I want him. I said, you know why? Because that's what security looks like, integrity. Y'all stop stealing. I want everybody put in the chat in all caps, stop stealing. Ain't nothing wrong with admiring stuff. Y'all start giving people credit. Stop telling partial truths. Stop functioning in spaces where you're not operating in integrity and answering questions and not answering questions fully. Y'all stop it. One of my mentors had me crying laughing Monday. I said, bro, I ain't got time to chase this stuff down. People can have it. When you're called to do something, you don't worry about people doing it like you do it. They ain't called to be you. But y'all stop stealing. Stop. One of the ways we can work through improving our correction wound is working on our fear, working on what we try to control, working on our faith, and working on letting go. That should sound familiar to y'all. That should sound familiar because it should sound like something called the triangle of trust. That if you want to correct a correction wound, work on your fears, work on what you can control, work on your faith, and work on letting go. Y'all, it's in this book right here called Letting Go. Get it. Links in the bio. Just a hard read. Why is this hard? Because this is a spiritual principle. One of the ways you can fix a correction wound is by tapping into a spiritual framework to release control and fear in response to feedback, in response to accountability. Zeb, say it simple. A lot of people avoid feedback and accountability because of their relationship or negative relationship with control and fear. If you have a negative relationship with things like control and fear, then your response to feedback will inherently be negative. So we can correct this from a spiritual lens too by working on fear, correct, control, faith, and letting go. Let me give you a point for all four of them. For fear, many people struggle when it comes to fear in the context of feedback and accountability because for them, fear means, correction means I'm going to be hurt or I'm going to be rejected. So a lot of people struggle with accountability and feedback from the context of fear because they think that correction is going to yield hurt or it's going to yield rejection or it's going to yield things like embarrassment or it's going to yield things like shame. Like there's a whole list of things we can do here. So it is that fear of hurt, that fear of rejection, that fear of embarrassment, that fear of shame that causes people to fear correction. What does this look like in the context of control? Well, in the context of control, people struggle with things like feedback and accountability because they say things like, well, if I over explain or I under explain. If I explain a whole lot or I run to avoid having to explain, either way, it keeps me safe. Over explaining makes me feel safe. We talked about that in the context of apologizing. Not explaining or running at all or refusing to admit fault keeps me safe because I don't have to confront it. And that makes me feel like I'm in control. But it is what I call, y'all, pseudo control. Pseudo or false control. You're really not in control. What you're really doing is attempting to control something that you need to address. Oh my God. And when you are trying to control something that you need to address, and you use control as a means of managing something you need to address, that is dysfunction at its finest. Dysfunction at its finest is attempting to control something you need to address. Y'all write that down. You'll be the smartest person at the water cooler tomorrow. Dysfunction at its finest is attempting to control something you need to address. And let's be clear here. That includes over apologizing. That includes trying to hide stuff. Hey, y'all, let me just help y'all. For you avoidants that try to hide stuff that you don't want to address, let me tell you something. I want you to get close to the screen when I say this. Y'all ready? When you try to control stuff by hiding it, let me help you. The cover up is always worse than the crime. Anything you try to cover up, almost always, the cover up almost always becomes worse than the very thing that you did. Oh my God. Dysfunction at its finest, y'all, is attempting to control something you need to address. And anxious people try to control it by over apologizing, being clingy, hypersensitivity. Avoiding people try to control stuff by running away from it, trying to laugh it off, trying to act like it didn't exist. All of that is dysfunction. So, in the context of the triangle of trust, are y'all supporting the show? Because I'm almost done. I'm 8 minutes from being done. Y'all supporting this show? I don't think y'all supporting tonight. I hate it. In the context of the triangle of trust, let me say this to y'all real quick. So fear, we talked about. Control, we talked about. Let's talk about faith. Because fear and control are the negative aspects of the triangle of trust that keep us in the loop. Most people bounce back and forth from fear and control, from fear to control and control to fear. But if you're going to move on and you're going to break this cycle regarding the correction wound from a spiritual standpoint, you got to tap into faith and letting go. What does faith look like in the context of addressing correction? What it looks like in the context of addressing correction from the standpoint of faith is adopting concepts or principles like, if I can be corrected, I can still be whole. If I can take correction, I can still be whole. Correction is not the death of me. Feedback and accountability, this is a big one, are not my enemies. I can be loved and my flaws be addressed at the same time. For some of y'all, you ain't never heard nothing like this because you have a correction wound and your parents or your guardians never corrected you this way. All of their correction came with condemnation. Thank you, Elizabeth. Thank you, Barbara, for your support. All that correction came with condemnation. You're wrong and you're stupid. You're wrong and you're an idiot. No. When you heal and you tap into this triangle of trust and you're releasing fear and control and you're tapping into faith, you can say stuff like, yeah, I can be wrong and still be loved. When was the last time you said to yourself, I can be wronged and I can be wrong and I can be loved at the same time? Doc, how can I break that correction wound? Say, start journaling about that. Start reminding yourself that I can actually be flawed and still be a good person. I can actually be incorrect, but with self-awareness and honesty about who I am, where I am, and what I'm doing, I can still be a good person. Guess what you start to do with that correction wound and that correction wound lens? You recognize that love and direction can coexist. I want y'all to put that in the chat. Love and direction are not enemies. Love and direction are not enemies. And this is why I laugh at some of you women who claim you want a masculine man and you want to be a feminine woman. And he tries to give you direction and he's done the work. I'm not talking about these broken folks that y'all giving all your business to. I'm talking about folks, men that are trying to do the work. And you want to be feminine and he wants to be masculine. And so he wants to try to give direction, but you can't accept it. It's because you got a correction wound. Love and direction aren't enemies. And here's a life hack, men and women. Men, if you find a woman that cannot receive love and direction at the same time, women, if you find a man that cannot take love and direction at the same time, you are dealing with somebody that is either anxious or avoidant. They are not secure. So for all you folk on social media who claim you want a masculine man or you want a feminine woman until they show up and they love you, but they have to correct you or address something you did, and all of a sudden you don't want them, all of a sudden something's wrong with them because they correcting you. No, you just broken. Love and direction aren't enemies. And I don't know a person who is healed that thinks love and direction are enemies. And it's so funny because some of us are so hypocritical with this, especially us believers. You're a believer, but you in your soft era. You're a believer, but you're trying to be a masculine, purpose-driven man on your purpose. This famous phrase everybody's running with. I'm on my purpose. You're trying to be a man on your purpose. You're trying to be a feminine woman. And you claim to be a believer. And you forgot something. You want to know what you forgot? You forgot that God only chastises people he loves. And this is why I question some of this stuff that y'all say y'all pray about. Because I don't believe most of y'all praying. You not praying. What you're doing is picking and choosing. You ain't praying. You're only admonishing a God that loves you. you don't admonish a God that corrects you. You're only acknowledging a faith that loves you, and you ain't acknowledging a faith that corrects you. And I'm here to tell you, you ain't got a real faith that can't do both. I want to say it again slow. You don't have real faith that ain't got both. If you can't be loved and corrected, that ain't real faith. I don't care what it is. I don't care if your mama taught it to you. Your faith is as fake as you are if it only involves love. Your faith is as fake as you are if it only involves correction. Because people swing on both sides of the pendulum. It is the God, the Buddha, the Allah of love. No correction. He's a loving God. He's a loving Buddha. He's a loving elephant. He's a loving Mother Earth. He's a loving all of this stuff. Or it's the God of hellfire and brimstone only. He's the God that corrects you. He's the God that beats you. He's the Buddha that punishes you. He's the Allah that sends wrath and damnation. All y'all crazy. Oh my God. All of you crazy. Because a faith that is grounded in authentic faith has to have love and correction. They are not enemies. Love, spirit, earth, dirt, whatever you believe in. Any faith you have that is only one-sided ain't real. I'm going to say it again slow. Any faith you have that's one-sided ain't real. Oh, look how quiet it is now. Oh my God. Any faith you have that's one-sided ain't real. I don't care who you are. Because love and correction can coexist. Y'all don't like this, do you? And this is how some of you live in your fairy tale lands. This is how some of you, yeah, it's dirt quiet. Ain't it quiet, Carissa? It's quiet. I don't see a lot of levels. I don't see a lot of church. I ain't seen a salad since I started. I get it though. Y'all got something to chew on tonight. I'm here to tell you love and direction can exist. And you're going to know you're healing your correction wound when you don't see love or correction as the absence of love, and you don't see love as the absence of correction. That in fact, any love you welcome into your life, you welcome with correction. I have never told a person that I've loved, that I love them, that could not correct me. Never. If I'm going to tell you I love you, you have the permission to correct me because they work hand in hand. And if you don't have permission to correct me, then it ain't time for me to tell you I love you. Which is why, watch this. The next time Johnny, Susan tells you they love you, you out in this dating space, I just love you. Okay, great. Oh man, that make me feel nice. Let me ask you a question. I want to just see something real quick. What's that, baby? Can I correct you? Oh my God. Because if the answer is no, they don't love you either. And this is why I know I love my clients. Because I correct you. If I didn't, I would just take your money for years, like all these other counselors and therapists do that don't want to give you solutions. Oh my God. Not all of them, a lot of them. Let me clarify that, because some of them are very sensitive too. I'm talking about the ones that don't want to tell you the truth. Not all of them. I told a client this week, my job is to get you out my face. Yes, I did. I was just on one that day. Sweetheart, my job is to get you out my face, not to have you in my face for the next 7 years. No, it is to get you on a plan, get some progress, and kick you out the nest. Bye. And the only people with that problem with that message are people that think love and correction can't mix. They can. Finally, letting go. Thank you, Aubrey. I appreciate you for your support. Y'all supporting the show. And listen, people can tell when you correcting them out of love. This is why. And let me just say this. God. And then I'm gonna talk about letting go. So we talked about fear, control, faith. I'm gonna talk about letting go, and then I'm gonna give you guys 2 more other points, and then I'm done. Not accepting new clients yet. Probably won't accept new clients again until maybe late in the fall for starting in 26. My books are backed up. Can I say this, y'all, for real? When you really love people and you correct them, they know it. They know it. And I'm gonna take this a step further. My work is proof that when you love people, you can be yourself when you correct them. Can I prove this? Can I prove that you can be yourself when you really correct people? If they really know you love them, you can correct them as who you are. Y'all know how I know that to be true, because I'm living it. You don't believe it? Why don't y'all tune into another live where you got people on here screaming with a hat, screaming, oh my God, and yelling to the top of their lungs these points, and they don't really love you? How long you gonna stay logged on? It's crazy. When people are not themselves and they try to be something they're not, and then try to impose correction, it never comes across as genuine, and it's never received. Which is why the mentees that I have in my life that want to do this kind of work or want to do other work, the best advice I give them, just be yourself. Don't try to be Doc. It's not that I'm anything special. Just be who you are. Because if you get in front of somebody and try to scream and yell at them like I do, they're going to look at you sideways. Just if I try to do it like somebody, y'all going to look at me sideways. Just be yourself. Just be yourself. Letting go. If we're going to apply a spiritual framework to release control and fear in response to feedback and accountability, then letting go allows us this. Letting go helps us surrender the belief that correction equals condemnation. In the context of the triangle of trust. Thank you, Casey. I appreciate that. In the context of the triangle of trust, this diagram right here that I've created that's in the book, Letting Go. In the context of letting go, or the triangle of trust, letting go says that we can surrender the belief that correction equals condemnation. You're going to know you are functioning in this space of being able to let go, which is a spiritual principle. I want to get to that question somebody, Shantae, has on TikTok. I'm going to get to that in a second. This is going to make some people pissed off. You're going to know you're getting some work done in letting go when you can surrender the belief that correction equals condemnation. That when people correct you, they're not condemning you. And why does that connect to letting go? Because when you feel like somebody's condemned you, you can't let go of what they said. Y'all want the truth? And it's so timely to a question that came on TikTok. Can you recommend therapists that have a similar style to yours that are accepting new clients? I don't know many personally. I'm sure there's some out there. I just don't know them. And they may not know about me. So it's not about Doc knowing everybody. I don't know. I only know people in my bubble. I don't pay attention to nothing else but what I'm doing. Very much tunnel vision. I be late on the news. I just learned how to dab a couple of weeks ago. I think that came out a few years ago. I don't know. But why am I saying this? The reason why I'm saying this is because a lot of people are not operating in this space authentically. A lot of people are trying to operate in this space authentically. I'm not being funny. Just hear me out. No, and I don't mean that from the GOAT standpoint. Thank you, sweetheart. You're so sweet. I don't mean it from that perspective. I promise you. I'm not being on that tip. I'm being from this perspective. A lot of people will try to put on a persona to get clients. That's not who you're not really wired like that. I told a young lady, yeah, I have a few mentees. I told a young lady, and I told her straight up, they don't teach personality when you're in school. They don't teach that. They don't teach like the art of taking a complex topic and making it teach you how to make it relevant to people in the present day. They don't teach it. Which is why this work ain't all created equal. And the last thing that I would want to do is connect y'all to somebody who's just doing this just to get clients. Ain't gonna work. They don't even believe in the work themselves. And if you really break them down, they probably not living what they trying to teach. Uh-oh. Uh-oh. Hey, you want clients? Start living what you teach. Oh, it's quiet. That ain't condemnation. That's in love. Start living what you teach. My clients that are therapists and counselors will tell you, and by the way, of the just under 1,200 that I have, right around 110 of them or so, I gave this stat out the other day to the husband and wife. I was giving them some stats. I had to pull up some. About 110 of my clients are counselors and therapists, social workers. Those are some hard conversations. You know why? Because they struggle in their personal life, and that's wild to me. You know why that's wild? Because how you struggling in your personal life? How you struggling processing things like pain, all this stuff, but then you license to help people through it. So I ride them hard like a horse and say, girl, bro, do me a favor. You want to get your clientele up? Start living what you teach. No, for real, because that's an energy by itself. That's an energy by itself. When people are in your presence, they can feel that. My son calls it, and daughter call it aura. They were with me on the tour in Charlotte. I'll share this and I'm gonna let y'all go. I'll pick up here. I'll pick up here next week. Start here. They went with me on the tour, stop in Charlotte. And I was so proud to have them there. Met my parents and folks after the tour was over. We met at dinner. And shout out to Kitchen and Cocktails in Charlotte. They made room for us to get in there. Um, and was really, really grateful for that. And I walked in there and they just walked up to me and bear hugged me. And they were very happy. And then my son, I was sitting next to him. I got a picture of me and him sitting next to each other. And he said, Daddy, man, you just got so much aura. That really meant a lot. He said, man, I could just see you were walking around the room and I could just, you got that aura on you, Daddy. That's how he talked to me. Daddy, you got that aura on you. You know why? I hear that from people that I meet from city to city. The greatest compliment I get nowadays is not how many clients you got. It's, oh my God, you're the same guy in person than you are on that computer screen. In fact, you better. Because living what you teach got an energy to it. I like what Casey said. You got to be very self-aware. Casey, I love that comment, my friend. I will be honest, I still have healing to do. You're not a hypocrite, but you are self-aware. Hypocrisy is minimalized with self-awareness. We think hypocrisy is saying one thing and doing something else. Let me help y'all. Hypocrisy is not saying one thing and doing something else. Hypocrisy is saying something, doing something, but not even seeing what's wrong with what you're doing. And then walking around like you okay. That's hypocrisy. I don't have a problem with flawed people. Doc's got flaws, but he's very aware of them. Is this making sense? Y'all, aura comes with alignment. Alignment is when what you say, what you do, and what you believe agree. That's what makes you authentic. And I don't care what your profession is: counseling, therapy, teacher, insurance agent, passer. I don't care what you are. When those things align, magic happens for you. And we've all got to get to that place. And much of this can come through healing the correction room. Y'all, was this helpful? I don't feel like I taught this really well tonight. I think some of you, I didn't see a lot of comments here. I didn't see a lot of comments tonight. I think many of you were just really thinking this through, or maybe I just didn't teach as well. Our numbers aren't as high. TikTok is really low, but we got dinged at the beginning. I don't know why, but we did. Yeah. See, in this culture with social media, we have to absolutely be careful calling people hypocrites when they mess up. You're not a hypocrite when you mess up. Let me tell you something. If not for the grace of God, Doc would be out here pimping hard. I'm talking about every state, every city. And if that grace falls off a Doc and you see an internationally known counselor and coach and wellness coach arrested for pimping, it might be true if the grace falls off. That doesn't make me a hypocrite. If I was aware, that make me a hypocrite. And in this social media, I know Doc is tripping. Hear me out. In this social media climate that we live in, we think people failing makes them a hypocrite. But the comment that came on here earlier, Casey, I think it was Casey that made it, was powerful. The greater challenge is to be aware. Because when you're aware, you can fix the hypocrisy. When you're aware, you can fix the lack of alignment. You can fix the saying one thing, doing one thing, believing something else. You can fix that. But when you're not aware, when you blocking people you owe money to, when you blocking people you should apologize to, when you muting people that you owe an explanation to, that's hypocrisy. That's hypocrisy. That's hypocrisy because you don't have self-awareness. And I'm going to tell y'all, for those of you that have partners, mates that have no self-awareness, good luck. Good luck. You can't correct nobody without self-awareness. It's just the bottom line. So y'all give these people that get messed up in public and get caught up, y'all get off of them if they are aware enough. If they are aware enough to recognize that they were flawed, they were wrong, and they are addressing their wrong. Y'all stop riding folk like they got to be perfect because they're on the internet. Stop riding folk like they got to be perfect because they're celebrities. I know what it's like. I got a few actors and athletes. I got a few of them in my 1200 stable. They human just like anybody else. And what I've said to them is that your goal does not need to be perfect, being perfect. Your goal needs to be being self-aware. Because when you are self-aware, there ain't nothing you can face in your life that you cannot fix. There is nothing you can screw up in that you can't make better. That's why I don't ride people that mess up. I recognize it could be Doc. And if Doc mess up, he gonna have some self-awareness. As long as I got self-awareness, I can bounce back. And if Doc mess up and then get on this camera and be like, I ain't do nothing wrong, ain't nothing wrong with me, then y'all need to start praying for Doc hard. I'm serious. Self-awareness is the key. Not perfection, self-awareness. If you operate in self-awareness, then you're gonna fix a whole lot of flaws. Okay? Is this making sense? Was this helpful? Hey, 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 hey. Real quick, Dallas is coming up September the 13th, y'all. If you do not have a ticket to Dallas, I want you to get one right away. Get a ticket to Dallas. Those of you that are in Texas, Houston, Arlington, Frisco, Cisco, Bisco, Risco, get a ticket to Dallas. I can't wait to see you there. I'll be there September the 13th. Make sure you grab one. LA, I'm coming your way. October the 4th, I'm going to be in Los Angeles, California. I'm really excited about that. I've got a special thing that I'm going to tack to this that many of you are going to really love. Shout out to my coordinator, Mary Buckner, who is running LA for me. Sion, who is running Dallas and New Orleans for me. Doing a tremendous job. So LA is coming up. Get your ticket there. Again, 5 Areas of Healing. The book is back in stock. Grab that this Saturday. Should I stay or should I go? It's going to be a small class size. Small class size. Make sure you sign up for Should I Stay or Should I Go? That's going to be a very good class for those of you that are in situations you're trying to weigh what to do next. I'm going to make this very simple for you in a community setting. And most of that time you're going to be able to use to ask your questions. You can either do it out loud or you can do it through chat area. You can do it privately. And I'm going to address it and it's going to be great. So check that out. I've got plenty of seats there and I would love to see you. Y'all support the show? I need y'all to do it if you haven't. I hope this was helpful. What we will do is part 2 next week. But I need some of y'all to really think about what I talked about tonight. I know some of y'all upset, and I don't care. Thank you. Leanne, thank you. So good to see you and Hugo. Came all the way from New Jersey. It was such a blessing to see both of you. I mean that sincerely. So proud of you guys. Looking forward to catching up soon for sure. Thank y'all so much. I really appreciate you. Listen, I saw a lot of guys in Charlotte. I would love to see more men in Dallas. I'd love to see more men in LA. You're not going to tell me with all of these beautiful women, y'all ain't got some men somewhere. Bring your men. If you got a roster, choose one. Oh my God. Choose one. But bring your man to this conversation in Dallas. Bring your man to this conversation in LA. Bring your man to this conversation in New Orleans. New Orleans is no more than 15. I'm not coming to Florida this year. I could not fit it in. So Florida is going to be one of the top cities that I look at in 2026. I promise you. Bring your man. I'm saying there were a lot of men in Charlotte. I was impressed and I was looking around like, oh shoot, I could let me set up some tall round cocktails and extend this for 30 minutes and do a round robin and have some and have some people have some people get hooked up in here. It's a beautiful thing. All right. So invite men. Remember, when a man heals, a family heals. When a man gets his stuff together, a whole generation changes. All right. So I would love to see more men there, and I would love to do that. Okay. What are y'all talking about? It must be somebody in the I'm not fooling with y'all tonight. All right. Love y'all. Support the show. If y'all support it, it'll be up. If not, subscribers, check. IG subscribe and check Patreon. And I'll get the content there. You guys support. You have until about 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning to support. Some people watch this when they get off. I get a lot of emails late at night. Doc, I'm just getting off. I want to check out the replay. I hope it's still up, that kind of thing. So check it out. All right. Love y'all. Peace and blessings. Have a tremendous weekend. Don't forget, get your tickets to all of these stops. I'll see you soon. Peace and blessings. Take care now.